Dave, no, I would never guess that.
Interesting. And we're back here at Has-Beens with our final part, speaking with Jack Nounnan, local peace and social justice activist. Also received the Redwood Chapter of the American Civil Liberties Union's Patriot Award a few years back. I remember being at that ceremony in Arcata. And that was for Jack's ongoing work to stand up for free speech rights for folks who want to organize and want to make a difference. And make their voice heard. What would you say has been your biggest frustration trying to give people that sort of sense of empowerment and the sort of discrimination they face right here in Humboldt County?
That's an ongoing frustration, but I just retune myself every time around, because I already know part of all this stuff going on year after year. Part of the learning is that you really do come to appreciate what people have to go through every day to maintain, how much it takes to just keep focused on keeping your family and having some moment of peace, within yourself. It's so interesting. I was talking to a friend last night about primitives, Neanderthals, and how, they only worked about 2 or 3 hours a day, and the rest they had a good old time because it wasn't complicated. They knew how to live on the earth. They were very, very adept at what they had to do and very skilled. We've taken to being complicated. We've taken to taking on too much. And the government, of course, learning how to compound that makes more issues for us all the time to dissuade us and separate us out. So I just have to keep, my work is to keep, hey, come on. Even if you didn't come today, the rally's going on, we can do this. There's great goodwill in it. Come on, that kind of stuff. And then also just, coming out of a moment of silence myself, almost like a contemplation or a meditation where I really find that peaceful center in myself, and I can see it's all right. It's really all right. It's always been all right. So I just have to kind of remember that. And then this newest issue, which is like the U.S., we're just putting this out, to raise consciousness about the U.S. Navy. I was in the U.S. Navy in Korea. And I learned quite a bit, and I was glad to be back. But the Navy that is doing their practice out there now is not the Navy I was in. There's some, 350 to 500 ships, and they all, they're all dumping their sewage every day, and they're doing all these kind of things. And now they want more. They're always asking for more. And we say, well, remember the band that you're supposed to be within and follow. They say, well, we can't do that because that takes too much in equipment and takes away from our space on the carrier. We need munitions and things and food.
You're referring to the London Convention International Treaty against dumping toxic chemical in the ocean.
Yeah. Like one carrier now produces 34 million liters of untreated liquid waste and 16 tons of plastic waste every 30 days. If a contractor here, you name it, if a contractor goes to the city to get a permit to do something, he's got to follow every particular regulation in order to get it. And thank goodness he does, because we have safer houses and safer places to live, and we can, our kids are going to be safer. But the Navy and the military can do whatever they want in Congress, like in 1987. 1972 was when all governments decided to finally formalize what are we doing to the oceans. Way back then, they saw that, and they got together. 85 nations did this thing. They said, banned, cruise ships, dumping, banned all kinds of, other kinds of commercial ships dumping. But the Navy said, we can't do that. They just said that, and they got away with it. That shows you the controls that we face now. It shows you the work we have to do, and how long are we going to deal with that and say it's okay?
But it's national security, Jack. It makes us more secure to dump depleted uranium munitions off the coast of where Americans live. That's about America.
I have a friend who was in the submarine corps, and they routinely dumped all kinds of stuff. And that was back in, well, probably, that was 1990, somewhere in there. It's so much like the transparency we see we're practicing, and we're not getting. The government is saying, well, it's going to hurt our relation. Well, then don't do it in the first place. Don't say those things. Don't carry those things out. But when your foreign policy is to take whatever is necessary in order to retain our lifestyles, then you're in trouble. That's the offense that we're declaring to the rest of the world every place we go. And so, of course, they'll stand up. Of course, poor people start getting a little bit feeling of deprivation when they've lost their land, or now they're slaves on somebody else's land, raising products that are not helping to produce their life or helping to support their life. That might even make a revolutionary out of it. I know we did it here. What was it, the Tea Party? I know, Boston Tea Party. So I guess we're not so far different. We just haven't learned, or we're going through our history again about, let's make it a big prime thing to be in trouble and divisive and not work things out. If you practice any of that, any one moment, any day too long, you will be on the other side of the track, and you will be part of the thing you're trying to get rid of.
I noticed the Tea Party and some folks from your end of the spectrum, Sandra Mans, for example, a local recent Green Party candidate here in Eureka, came together to oppose PG&E's smart meter program. Literally a program that would allow a private corporate monopoly power company to turn on and off the appliances in your home. I mean, can you think of anything that'd be more invasive?
Yeah, just having your own private fire and things like that. Just like they're trying to do with our food now, take over our food. That's before Congress right now. I have to get an email out about that. Everybody, they're trying to take control of how and where we produce our food. There's nothing that they won't get into, and there's nothing we shouldn't be fighting, because it's almost all stacked, and we have a stacked deck against us, but we have a consciousness that can't be manipulated, because essentially as peaceniks, we really don't know what we're going to do next. We have a pretty good idea, but we're not fashioned and controlled and supervised and manipulated. So it's really hard to know what we're going to do next, and that's really one of our, you can call it a vice. I think it's a blessing. And so it's hard to really pin us down. Just like Earth First work, wherever we run into the police, the cops, it's not about arguing or yelling or raging. It's like talking about what we talk about, and they're kind of like baffled to realize, who are these people? Whereas a moment before they were going to slug us, they're starting to listen, and they're getting a reflection back that they didn't expect. Not a reflection back of fear, which implies that, okay, this thing is working. We don't show that. We demonstrate who we are first. That's what we want to do towards the healing.
Just in the few minutes we have left, you are a leading local peacenik. You led for over a year weekly protest at Congressman Mike Thompson's office, our local congressman, of course, more representative of the Napa Valley wine interests than certainly of local industry.
Yeah, I did like to hear about that.
And there's no local bases. There's no military industrial output from this congressional district at all, besides maybe wing inflatables building some rafts, some inflatable rafts for the Coast Guard or something. And yet he's been such a knee-jerk supporter of the military-industrial complex, of all these wars. What would you want to get across to the local public who keeps re-electing this guy and then say they support peace and then vote for a man who funds war?
Okay. Well, if somebody can just begin to face their own disillusionment and not say, well, he did a lot of good things, even though he compromised on a lot of other things. If we could really find, like a pure warrior, more of the pure warrior to really elect. Somebody that maybe is not really a politician, not somebody who sees that compromise, you've always got to use compromise to get what you need. We have to really really know ourselves better before we can do anything like that. We have to learn. We have to take time out to learn about who we really are rather than all the conditioning that has made us who we are right now. But that's a persona. That's not our soul, and that's not our spirit.
It's coming up on the 8th anniversary of the Iraq invasion next spring. You've been leading these annual peace marches, and you hate to call them annual because it sounds like the war will never end, so we'll just keep marching against it in sort of a ritual. But what would you hope to do to break out of that pattern and make the next peace march in March of 2011 something that'll wake up the local community?
I'm glad you brought that up because right now we're, it's always been many people who did it. I'm just one person carrying on when people got a little discouraged here or there. It's just that we have to come together in coalitions. So we're talking to a lot of different people about how to do this together under one umbrella, like I said before. That would be tough to find the particular focus, but what it's all about is really setting a priority, and it can be very timely. Priorities are set by what's very timely, what's up right now. Like this naval testing is up right now. It makes everything Greenpeace is doing with their shepherd at sea look like paltry in terms of what they're doing. Saving one whale at a time, maybe from a whaler, when millions possibly will be rendered unhealthy or harmed and or killed. No, we have to get together on this one. And then the next one will be maybe the war. And then the next one, but we have to really be willing, like in Earth First, we learned. We were all chiefs. We all came in. We all knew exactly what we wanted. A lot of good intelligence there. But the genius of the person who started Earth First saying, this is a consensus process, dudes. If you want to make something happen, you all got to get together on the same page. And that takes some doing. Long meetings sometimes. Endurance. A sense of commitment. But it finally works. It makes things happen. And when you avoid that, or when you don't want to take that much energy on, then it doesn't work. But we can do this. So we're trying to get folks together from all different walks of life, all different groups, and saying that let's do this together now. Right now it's the naval thing, and the surfers are on board for that, and the plastic people are on board for that, and the oil spill people are on board for that. So we already have a sense of coalition in that way. Vets for Peace have always been against the war. They'll probably join quickly. Other people who are against corporations will probably join because it's all one big family to save life and save all species.
Well, Jack, one final question for you real quick. You voted for and campaigned for Sandra Mans. There's now some recriminations amongst the local neoliberal establishment, the Journal, the usual suspects. So, you just gave the election to the Chamber of Commerce guy, Mr. Newman. How do you react to that lesser of two evils argument?
Well, that's again, we have to learn to stand up, take the loss, and then when we see we really have some ranks, learn who we are and keep that momentum going. It's the same as rallies. Coming out 4,500, 5,000 deep in 2003, 2004, and then going home and saying, well, it didn't work. That's not the point. You've got to build your momentum if you really want a movement.
Well, Jack, thanks so much for keeping the momentum going with this interview series and coming down and speaking at Has-Beens today.
Thanks for the chance. Everyone should have their chance because I speak for a lot of people who feel just exactly how I feel.